Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here from Black Flag Racing TV, and this is round number 2 of the HyPrix GTC BMW Cup, coming to you live from Croatia here at Dragon Trail Seaside. We are. My son's just fallen over. Got a bad leg. Sorry, we are starting about 10 minutes late. Kawazuri got held up at work, but we'll be with us. But we will have a full lobby, 15 of the very best drivers, and I'll tell you what, there is some absolute quality across the 15 drivers here. Greasy Sam Squanch unfortunately missed out on World Tour. Long story, but yeah, gutted for him, absolutely gutted. But we've got drivers of that level throughout the field, which is absolutely awesome. So we'll have a quick look at who we've got, and in fact we'll talk about the race calendar. So this is where we're at 6 rounds. There is an individual event across 4 lobbies, and also a team event as well. Top 3 results from each team, and they go into your team results. So we will. Yeah, we will see how the teams perform. Obviously, the higher lobbies they're in, the more points they score. All very complicated. Grid positions are set by the fastest lap in the previous race. Previous race, of course, was Sardenga A. We move on to Tokyo next week, but this week, Dragon Trail Seaside. Brilliant circuit. Tokyo Expressway east clockwise for round 3. Round 4, we're out to Switzerland for Deep Forest Reverse. That's a brutal track in reverse, that is. Round 5, back to Europe for the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, with that stupid chicane removed, although it's in the picture, but it's not really going to be there. And round 6 to one of the greatest racetracks in the history of racing for me, Mount Panorama in the rolling hills of Australia for the final round. Really looking forward to that. If you're into your iRacing, you want to give it a try. This is the GT Champions first ever iRacing series, and you can come and watch me absolutely failing at everything in the HyPrix Clio Cup. Sundays at 12 EST. Eastern time, was that? 4 p.m. GMT. It does say that a Charlotte Roval is tomorrow. It's not. It's next week. It's been postponed by a week. So there's still a couple of opportunities to get involved and race. Have a little go at this sort of trial series on iRacing in the Renault Clio. It's not bad. It's bad in my hands, but it's not bad in terms of car in general. So, grid order. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? Where's the grid order? There's the grid order. That's for the 4 lobbies. Monkey Bear Macho with the fastest lap last time out with a 1:39. In fact, the only driver that went sub 140. Phenomenal lap time for him. Oh, actually, no, sorry, 2 drivers went sub 140. It was actually Sharky was originally on pole, but a penalty has knocked him all the way down to the back of the grid. But fully expect to see Sharky weaving his way through the field. Monkey Bear Macho on pole from Black Flag, of course, with 1:39.8. Greasy is joining him on that front row. Then Zeno and Natsu on row 2. Kaizan and Kurama will be on row 3. Row 4, Smashing Apex. And another Black Flag driver there in Slipstream. Won lobby 2 last week, absolutely smashed it. So moves up with the big boys. Kawazuri, who we're just waiting on now, is joined by The Truth on row 5. Nico and Tech Racing on row 6. Blue Paladin and Budsy on row 7. And Sharky with his penalty at the back of the grid in position 15. Dragon Trail. What can we tell you about Dragon Trail? It's an amazing circuit, to be fair. Really cool. It's essentially a triangle, as you can see there. Well, you can't see it, but you will in a bit. It's essentially a triangle with... It's quite complex. It's quite steep incline and declines because it's set in the hills. Not real hills, but it's still set in the hills. Each of the corners of the triangle is essentially a hairpin, and in between there is 3 different sorts of chicane to test everyone's mettle. The beast of the 3, of course, is the last one, the chicane of death. Takes many victims of all driving levels. So I fully expect to see at least one car at some stage clipping the wall in that chicane of death. Ironically, when this track is done in reverse, it becomes the fluffy bunny chicane, because it's a much more serene affair coming through there. Sector 1, slowest sector of the circuit. Well, we'll go through it, actually. We'll do it on board with somebody at some point soon. There we go. So I'll start getting the grid set now, actually. Let me do that now, while we've got... Let's bring it up so I've got it in front of me and I'll get the grid set. I'm going to put you on mute because otherwise you'll hear me talking to myself. There we go. The grid is set. I'm just going to check if the group want to start now. We did say 10 past, he carries at a time, but he's in and he's ready to go now. So let's see if they want to go. Helps if I can type better, doesn't it, really? Get rid of that. So I'm really looking forward to this one, actually. I think more so than I was. Last week's was a great race, but I'm really looking forward to this one because it's a great circuit. You've got that really fast sector 2. You're going to see some cars getting tucked in that dirty air going down the hill, and that's when you start to lose control of these BMWs. We're finding that most of this lead group in the M6, I think everybody actually has gone for the M6. A few have gone for the endurance model, but mostly for the sprint model. They're identical cars in terms of performance. Yeah, they've all gone for the M6. There's a couple across the other groups who've gone for the Z4s and the M3s, but yeah. Right, I think we're ready to go. Right, let's wish them all luck and then get cracking. Let's get cracking with some racing, shall we? So here we have it. This is the opening race, or sorry, the second race of this absolutely awesome BMW Cup, and looking forward to this one. Can I spectate it yet? Yes, I can. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so we want to go back here. I'm going to go and chase cam. Right, hopefully we get into turn 1, no problems. That's my kind of aim. There we go, everything's on. That's 3 lights, that's 4 lights, 5 lights, last light goes out, and we are away. A good start from Slipstream there as we're heading down towards turn 1. Everything looking good out in front. Do we get through cleanly? Very fast drivers, you've got to be aware though. I think after last week, I think everyone's going to be a little bit more sensible into turn 1. And a little coming together there for a couple of cars. 2 cars to me out of that. That's a stewarding incident. That's not a red flag. That's 2 cars into each other. So Kawazuri and Zeno. Yeah, I saw 2 cars there. I'm not red flagging that. That's purely going to be down to the stewards to look at. Okay, so mostly through cleanly. Monkey Man Macho with incredibly bad lag. Clearly latched onto that McDonald's Wi-Fi for this evening's races. Monkey Man Macho is in the lead by 1 second over Greasy Sam Squad from Canada. Karama in 3rd with Slipstream into 4th place. Smashing Apex up to 5th. He's ahead now of Kaizen, his teammate, who was caught up in that turn 2 coming together, couple of cars. Nico is in 6th position. Sharky already up to 7th. Really worked his way forward already. That's a great forward charge from him. He's got Blue Paladin tucked behind him, trying to make a move. Side by side already. Blue Paladin going to have a look around the outside. Can he make this move, the American driver? It looks though, with the Sharky having that inside line, very difficult for Blue Paladin to get that done. Is he going to go for the old switcheroo? He may well do. He can see his teammate ahead. Sharky at the moment sandwiched between those 2 teammates, Nico and Blue Paladin. I forgot his name was then. I want to take off. I don't like the name above the car. I don't like it. I know sometimes it makes my life easier, but I prefer it like this. So Sharky gets through. He's past Nico. Blue Paladin dropping down. Nico dropping down because of a great move there by Sharky. We can pick that move up here. So you can see there, he just up the inside on the pair of them and almost taking both of those teammates and moving up the order, giving himself a really, really good start. So up into 6th was there is Sharky. Let's go out in front because Monkey Man Macho already 1.3 seconds clear, and we're going to do. I want to do an onboard lap with a driver so we can go over this racetrack. I want to do it early on, so you guys really understand the complexity of this racetrack. I mean, it looks, to all intents and purposes, to be relatively simple. You know, 4 kilometres of, is it 4 or 5 kilometres of pretty straight roads, and you can see there. I mean, it's very difficult to tell whether that's just lag or whether he did actually click the wall there. Now, there has been, I have noticed, quite a lot of netcode issues over the last few weeks. But that's not netcode, that is pure and utter lag. So that's something that might need to get looked at. We're not going to do an onboard with Monkey Man Macho. Karama has made his way up 2 seconds from a great pace from him. He's ahead of Greasy. A Slipstream and Greasy side by side. Does Slippy make the move? Slippy up into 3rd. Gets the move done on Greasy with that Slipstream. Of course, he used his name to great effect. You can see here, as they come side by side, across that start-finish line, and he just out-drags him up to turn 1. It's not really a turn 1 because you're flat out. This, for me, is turn 1, turn 2. Although it's technically turn 3, turn 4. But you can just see there as he gets round and gets through, makes that look relatively easy. Next up, we will do the onboard, I do promise you. So Greasy tucked in there behind Slipstream. Now we'll go on board with Greasy because then we'll get a good view of that Karama Slipstream Greasy battle. Right, let's have a quick. Let's look at the back and see if these guys have recovered. Oh, Sharky's had a problem. What's happened to Sharky? See if we can find out what happened to him because he was on a charge. Yeah, it's a second. It's a second issue there. So Sharky's had a problem, a couple of problems, and he's all the way back down the order to 14th. Okay, so pushing that a little bit too hard. Right, so Natu way down the order. He is behind his teammate Sharky by 7.9 seconds. Zeno, absolutely phenomenal drive from Zeno last time out, but caught up in that 2-car thingy at the beginning. He's now down in 13th. He's got a gaggle of cars ahead of him as well. Look at this. He's got Tech, and he's got Kaizen there as well. Kawazuri, and then ahead of Kawazuri is Budsy, 3.1 seconds up the road. I didn't get a chance to do the onboard. I will get the onboard done, don't worry, I will get it done. 1 second up the road is the truth. You can't handle the truth. Well, at the moment, nobody can handle the truth. It's the 8-4 back. 3.7 seconds to Blue Paladin. We saw that great overtake Sharky made on him and Nico, and now it's all gone to pot because Sharky is way down the order. Apex, smashing Apex, the Mashed Spuds Racing driver, newly formed team for this BMW Cup. He is down in 5th position. His team leader Kaizan didn't have the greatest of starts, he's down the order. In 4th, that is Greasy Sam Squanch, and I did promise you an on-board with him, which we will do when they get round to the start-finish line. There's Slippy from Black Flag. We've got 2 Black Flag drivers in the top 3. Go on, smashing it. Kurama in 2nd. The French driver has shown incredible pace since he came in late into the World Cup. And there's Monkey Man Macho just coming round to complete lap 4 here. 1 hour of racing ahead of us. We've only had 7 minutes. Let's go on board with Greasy. We'll do a full kind of look at a lap range. I want to take off all the stuff off the screen. I'll leave it on there. So here we go. So this is Dragon Trail. And as I said, it's almost triangle-like. It's tucked in behind Slipstream there. But there's only one way for it to go, and that's to the right-hand side, because he had Kurama there on his left. Is this going to be a double overtake from Greasy? Are we going to have to do a super-duper replay? We're not. He didn't get the second move done, Slipstream ahead. That's your first chicane. That's probably one of the easiest of the chicanes on this racetrack. Then you head up here, and it's a little lift as you flick round to the right-hand side before you get on the brakes hard. And every one of the points of that triangle is hard braking. And this is where we go into Sector 2. Sector 2, the fastest part of the racetrack. It is flat out. Other than a little lift here to get your car turned in, you are flat out all the way down here as you start dipping down the hill towards the big hairpin at the bottom. This is one of the biggest braking zones on the circuit. Great opportunities for overtake. He's got the inside line, under braking, incredibly brave. Does he get the move done? That is incredibly brave braking from Greasy. Gets that move done on Slipstream. I have put a marker in, we'll come back and watch that in a minute. So into the chicane of death you go. You've got to be so careful to get it turned early. Don't clip the inside there, don't clip the outside there, or that happens to your car. He did survive though, but does that give Slippy a run on him? Yes it does. Slippy gets the run. This opts not to make the overtake, but just to stay tucked in behind. That's Kurama just behind them there as well. Round that final corner, then you head up the hill. You start the climb up into the mountain again for the start-finish line, which is right about there. Now I want to go back and watch the overtake if we can. As you can see here, heading down the hill, side by side they are. And just under braking, so brave was Greasy. Really brave to get that job done under braking that particular part of the racetrack. I mean, it is a really good overtaking spot, but you've got to be so brave on the brakes because you get that wrong and you are in a wall. Fastest man on the racetrack with a 1:36.3 is Natu, and Natu at the moment is down in. Where's Natu? You only get an ooh with Natu. I can't find him. Have we lost him? No, there he is. Natu in last place, but he's done a 1:36.6, which, let's put this in comparison. Monkey Man Macho, he's doing 36.8, 36.8, 36.7. But Greasy currently in second, steady 38s, low 38s. So, yeah, that's a phenomenal lap time around here. But this is how it looks at the moment. Monkey Man Macho with the lagness. Is 7.4 seconds clear in the Black Flag colours, and I'm not biased at all. Yes, I am absolutely biased. Loving it, my friend. Loving it. Greasy Sam Squanch in second, and it's a great battle at the moment between him, Slipstream and Kurama. At one stage, all three of these drivers have been second, third and fourth on the racetrack, and we're only on lap 6. I imagine this battle will rage on. In terms of pace, all very similar. Look at this. Battling it out for the podium places. Of course, at the moment, Monkey Man Macho loving the fact there's a battle going on behind, because it means they're not, well, they're trying to, but they're not troubling him too much at this moment. On board at the moment with that French driver. I want to go there. That's not. That's what I wanted, Chase Cam. It's been a pig of a day, my friends, a pig of a day, and my brain is fried. Right, so here we go, heading down the hill. So that's, as I said, the slowest part of the racetrack there in Sector 1. And then you head down here and you just watch how much slipstream really helps you. The problem you've got, of course, is that when you're in the dirty area of the car in front, you've got these turns to make. And a little mistake, and you go wide, and that's what happens. And I tell you what, I don't believe in commentators' curse. But I was talking about what can happen if you're in the dirty air and you go wide, and it was almost as though Karama put on a demonstration for us, and he did. He got a little bit loose onto the brown stuff, and round and round and round he goes, and that is his audition for Strictly Karama Dancing. So that drops him down to 6th place. Smashing Apex goes through. Blue Paladin goes through. Nico now through as well, as Karama nursing that little bit of damage. Well, I say a little bit of damage, it's a lot of bit of damage. Both front suspensions and the front aero damaged on that car. So it's going to take a while for him to find any kind of rhythm now. He might opt to go and get that sorted out. But yeah, round and round. It just goes to show just how even the very best drivers, and these guys are the very best, in this BMW Cup. It just goes to show how even they can get it wrong. Making the move again is Sharky now. Sharky working his way back up the field into 7th. Can he keep it on the racetrack? Lap 3 was a lap to forget for him, because he'd already done all the work to get himself up into 6th place, and then found himself down and down the order. But he is putting in some phenomenal laps at the moment, and just needs to keep his head. The current, of course, GTC World Champion, came into this race, was initially on pole, but after a penalty, was busted all the way down to 15, so really got a lot of work to do. There's your race leader, Monkey Man Macho. He's 8.1 seconds clear now, but we're not even clear where he's on the racetrack because the lag is so bad. Oh, the coast go through there so quick. I slowed down to like snail's pace through there. It's craziness. Slippy back into 2nd, of course, after Karama had his little incident, but he's ahead of Greasy again. So these two having a really good battle. Everyone's in the same car as well, so there's no tuning advantages to be had or anything along those lines. The cars are as they come. The only thing they're allowed to adjust is their brake balance. But it's the beautiful paint job that is making the difference here. Let's have a look through the paint job. There's been a black flag running 1st and 2nd. How's about that then? My boys have done me proud. Gets in there. So this is the black flag livery. Made by actually Slipstream himself, right there. He is our onboard car designer. Brilliant job of that. On the back there, a band that we are supporting and supporting us called Swarm 6. Check them out. New single out now. See on the back of the car. That's the HyPrix livery that we know and love. Very iconic. You can spot it from a mile off, and you know it's HyPrix, done by the wonderful Pixetta. Genius at these kind of things. HyPrix in Race City, of course. That is the Mashed Spuds racing car, and I tell you what, that's a really cool livery. I love that MSR emblazoned across the side in black. That's Smashing Apex running in 4th place, of course. Blue Paladin. I can't remember what team they are, but I do like that livery. It's very cool. With the kind of Red Bull kind of monster thing on the side. There's a bit of a hybrid there. There's Sharky, of course, for Sharky's own team. Team Sharky, he is the current leader for Team Sharky, of course, but up into 6th place. There's Nico, we've seen that livery already. Karama, same thing in that Sharky team car. The Truth for Sector 7 Racing is a new addition to the Sector 7 Racing roster, and I love their livery this time out. Very cool. There is Tech Racing. That colour scheme, that kind of blended colour, is very awesome. I really like that. You look different sides. It looks like different colours on the different light. That is really, really cool. But here's Kawazuri. HyPrix Kawazuri. He might have arrived late. He arrived late to the braking zone as well. Made the move, but was a little bit late back on getting straightened on the racetrack. And that's allowed Natu to make the move. Oh, little touch there. Oh, I think that's one that might have to be looked at by the stewards if Natu doesn't give this position back. That was a little bit more than rubbing his racing. That was rubbing his not allowed there. And it's unsettled Kawazuri somewhat because that's allowed Kaizan through as well. Kaizan, of course, also from the Matched Spuds Racing team. Kawazuri from HyPrix. There is Zeno from ART Zeno, who was racing for UNEM Sports. And then Bugsy there, of course, at the back of the back. I say, of course, at the back of the back, like he belongs there. That's not entirely true. He's put in some phenomenal times also for Mashed Potato, Jacket Potato Racing. Right, anyway, there's your race leader. He is 8.6 seconds clear. Not much more to say about that, other than he took being gifted pole after Sharky's penalty by the scruff of the neck, and has got his car 8.5 seconds clear. In second, another black flag driver there in Slipstream. Him and Greasy having a great little battle today. It was initially Slipstream and Greasy and Karama, and then Karama did that wonderful demonstration for me about what dirty air can do to a car, and then went a spinning. In this particular part of the racetrack as well, went a spinny, and he's dropped down the order somewhat, leaving these two to fight it out. Excuse me, for the podium spaces, as it were. Slipstream and Greasy. We'll have a look on board actually with Greasy as he's chasing down Slipstream. Is he going to get? Now we see that often the Slipstream has allowed these two to switch places. Is that going to happen again? We haven't seen anyone actually come a cropper in a death chicane yet. I don't know whether to be disappointed or pleased. Obviously disappointed because I said that somebody would. But we're only on lap 11. That'll happen eventually. But also from the perspective that it's great TV, isn't it? It's great TV. But no, it's testament to the quality of these drivers that we're on lap 11. So 15 cars going through the death chicane. We're on lap 11. I suppose that could have been what happened to Sharky. We didn't actually see that. But we haven't witnessed a death in the chicane of death as yet. Greasy sticking with Slippy, but not making the move. I can tell you, tyres and fuel-wise, not much difference between the cars. All very, very similar. I think some have been a little heavier footed than others, but for the most part, they're all very, very similar. Sharky now has worked his way back up into the top 5. The gap between him and the American Blue Paladin is 1.4 seconds. Chasing down as he is. He's 2.3 clear of smashing Apex, who's in 6th. And he's got Nico for company. Is Nico going to be able to get a move done here? He's certainly he's in that dirty air now. Is he going to do a Karama or a Greasy? Because when he gets to the bottom here, who's going to get the inside line? I think this is the key. Well, he's chosen to go outside rather than in on the Matched Spuds Racing driver. Now, it does force the driver ahead to have to take a tighter line through the hairpin. But surely you want to be on the inside there to give yourself the best opportunity for an overtake. Or is Nico just playing the long game, saying, like, I'll be tucked in behind here? Oh! The way, the angle that I was looking at, I thought he was going to hit it. I really do. They go through there so fast, man. It's spicy. Round the outside, and ignore that. They don't need to refuel yet. It's a rubbish. It's a bug that's been stuck on this game for ages, and they need to get rid of it. So Nico's got to run now. He's tucked right in behind the Matched Spuds Racing driver. Did he pull out a little bit too early rather than use the slipstream? Well, it looks like he's just got the speed edge as they go into this little right-hand flick. It is going to give Apex the inside line into chicane number 1. Under braking, they are side by side. This is very, very close racing. giving each other just enough room, but not enough. I was going to say not enough respect. Plenty of respect, but not enough conceding. And he finally does make his way through. And I've just pressed the wrong thing on the controller, haven't I? Bear with me. My controller's broken, so I can't move it from where it's sitting for fear of it crapping out again. So Nico is now up into 6th position, smashing Apex behind him in 7th. We saw that overtake there. Now Kurama getting involved in that battle, and actually this battle here, we go on board with, in fact we can go on board with Natsu, who showed some incredible pace. This is a 5-car battle to get into the top 6. You've got the 2 there. You've got B-Tech Racing, or BDL Tech Racing. You've got Kurama there. And then ahead of Kurama, you've got Smashing Apex and Nico, of course, as you can see. And on board with Natsu at the moment, you can see ahead, Tech Racing trying to make a move on Kurama. Kurama desperately trying to close on the cars ahead. 3 cars, side by side almost, into the final corner. Does Tech Racing get this move done? Natsu gets very, very wobbly coming out there. But what a great run he's got on Tech Racing as they head down towards turn 1. That's lap 14 complete. He's going around the outside. He wants, of course, the inside line going into the chicane. But he's got the job done before he's even got to the chicane. Into the braking zone he goes. Natsu gains a position. So strong, that slipstream there, particularly out of the final corner and up the hill. You get a good run out of there. You get on the loud pedal nice and early. You get the back end nice and steady, and you can get a really good run. And we saw there, even though Natsu, the back end of that BMW, wanted to step out, Natsu just kept it under control and then got on that power. Now trying to close down on Kurama. Behind him, that is Tech Racing. Tech Racing is sticking with it. No slouch by any means. And Natsu, again, it's that dirty air thing. Oh, so close to the brown stuff. But what an overtake there on Kurama. That's where Kurama came a cropper. But this time, it's an absolute phenomenal move by Natsu. And we'll catch that move again, because he went very wide out there. And you can see here, it looked almost like he was going to go right on the sand. But just held that pace round the outside and made that move on Kurama look a lot easier than, I can tell you, a lot easier than that actually was. So Natsu is on a massive charge. That's 2 places gained. And actually Kurama loses another place there to Tech Racing. So Kurama's early good start is not going so well. And he's got damage. He's picked up some damage. That must have been through the chicane of death. And I can tell you, his tyres, Kurama's tyres are looking ropey. And I think, that's going to be partly to do with that massive spin he had earlier, but he's struggling at the moment, is Kurama. Nico, there he is in 6th place, 1.5 seconds ahead, smashing Apex now. Just pulling away from that little battle where you got, we want to keep an eye on this because Natsu is clearly on a bit of a charge and already closing now, pulling away from Tech Racing, closing now on smashing Apex. So Nico will want to kind of get the best gap possible between now and when Natsu finally does find his way through, because it's a car on a charge, and he does not want a car on a charge behind him. Blue Paladin in that top 5. Sharky has now got up into the top 4. Blink and you'll miss it is what I say. Sharky absolutely on fire. And I tell you what, we talk a lot about consistency, but 37.5, 37.4, 37.3, very, very consistent lap after lap after lap. And that is why he is now up into 4th. He's 8.7 behind that front 3 though. They're slippy. He's dropped off a bit. Greasy's gone ahead of him again, and he's dropped a little bit off the pace of Greasy Sam Squanch, the Canadian driver, up in 2nd. But they're still not closing on Monkey Man Macho. He's still got that 8-second lead out in front here as we approach the midway point. If you are just joining us, this is the GT Champions BMW Cup, brought to you by HyPrix Sim Race City and of course RWB Racing and all those people over there. This is season number 3 of this BMW Cup in the GT3s. The drivers had a choice of the M6, the M3 or the Z4, and it's the 2 M6 models, the Endurance and Sprint, were available. Most people have opted to go for this M6, and I think this M6 overall is the better car of the 3. Although, you know, there's different tracks with different challenges, and you may find that over the course of the season, drivers use different cars just to suit their driving style. But it's a phenomenal car, this BMW. They're all, of course, with fixed specification, so no tuning for these guys. They're literally racing as it comes out of the garage. This is lobby number 1, the 15 fastest drivers from last week in this pro lobby. I do want to give a quick big up mention actually to one driver in this lobby who is actually a Pro-Am driver and not a pro, and that's Budsy. Budsy running currently in 15th place, but there are pro drivers currently in lobby 2. Budsy was so quick last time out that he busted his way into the big party with the big kids. He's getting to eat from the adult table today. Race leader, Monkey Man match as we reach the halfway point. This is where the pit window is going to start to open. We start to see people coming in and swapping out those worn softs for some new, fresh, soft compound tyres. Second, Greasy Sam Squanch. Third is Slipstream Sharky in 4th. He was 15th. He made his way up to 6th. He was 14th. He made his way up to 4th. Absolutely on a massive charge. Blue Paladin in 5th position. He is 5.3 seconds behind Sharky. 3.4 ahead of Nico. Nico now pulled out a gap over Tech Racing of 3.5 seconds. He's running in 7th, and he's got a gap over Kaizan of 4.4. So these guys now starting to spread out a little bit and have a bit of room on the racetrack. And we're going to see this generally around this midpoint of the race, just as people start to settle into their rhythm and let their strategies play out. And then, of course, they'll start ramping it up later on. But at the moment, the truth, running in the 39s and the 40s, whereas, you know, Zeno behind him, knocking out 37s. But it just goes to show the difference between consistency and outright pace with the occasional mistake. There is Budsy. We're talking about him. He's running in 11th place, Pro-Am driver. I'll have you know. Right, now 2 has been in the pits. He's on an outlap. Karama has been in the pits, and he's picked up a dreaded pit line penalty. Absolutely brutal, those penalties. Kaizan into the pits. Smashing Apex has also been in, and Kawazuri also with that 3-second pit lane penalty is currently in 15th position. I did say the pit window was going to open, didn't I? The gap out in front has closed to 7.5 seconds as we're watching Monkey Man Macho head through the death chicane for lap 18. It should be 36 laps, there or thereabouts. I imagine these guys are doing 36 laps. I think if you're lobby 3 and 4, we might see 34, 35. But these guys certainly are going to be doing 36 glorious laps in this BMW. Do we see him pull over to the right hand side? Yes, we do. He goes into the pits. What about Greasy? He's 1.5 ahead of Slippy at the moment. Does he pull over? Yes, he does. Bang on the halfway point. Slippy follows him into top 3 in. There's Sharky. Is Sharky going to lead this race briefly? No, he's not, is the answer to that question. If he wants to lead the race, he's going to have to do it by overtaking. Blue Paladin, what's he going to do? Is he coming in? Blue Paladin wants to get a number 1 next to his name, even for a little while. And through he goes into the lead of this race, even if it is only short-lived. Nico follows him through as well. Nico with some damage, though, which he must have picked up in that chicane of death. So there we go. Blue Paladin and Nico are the only drivers, I think, left to pit. As the truth goes in, Zeno goes in. Budsy, and Budsy's staying out as well. Budsy going for 1 more lap. So everybody, bar Blue Paladin and Nico, have been into the pits. Monkey Man Macho, there he was your race leader. He is. Oh, Buds, I think Budsy stayed out. Yeah, Budsy has stayed out. Monkey Man Macho was your race leader. He's still the de facto race leader. At least he will be when Blue Paladin and Nico go into the pits. Now, this is interesting because when they went in, it was Monkey Man Macho from Greasy from Slipstream. Budsy's in the middle there. Budsy still needs to pit. There is Slipstream. He was 1.5 seconds behind Greasy when he went in, and he's jumped him in the pits, and not in that way. I'm sure Greasy would welcome him with open arms, but not in that kind of way. But the New Zealander, he's not Polish, the badge just says that because he's in Poland, but yeah, he's jumped Greasy in the pits, and that'll be just purely a little bit less fuel. Now obviously he'll know if he's got enough fuel to make it to the end. What he doesn't want to be is in a position where he has to back off because he's underfueled. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. That's Paladin and Nico into the pits now. So Monkey Man Macho will regain the lead. So they're racing with Budsy. To be fair, Budsy did move out of the way. He knows his race is not with them today. And I think that's a sensible thing to do because you potentially compromise 3 drivers, including yourself, as Budsy goes into the pits. Yeah, he knew he was going in. He knew it wasn't their race or his race. So it makes sense to get out of the way and let those guys get on with it. So Monkey Man, his lead's been cut by 3 seconds, down to 5.5. Slippy and Greasy, they're still going at it. Toe to toe here in Division 1, or Lobby 1, as we like to call it, the Pro Drivers Group. There is Sharky. He had fought his way back through the field twice from the tail end. He's now pit. He's running to the end of this race. If he wants to win this race, he's got to find 14.8 or 15 seconds. For the best part of 15 seconds. And then make an overtake. If he wants to get the top 3, that gap is 9 seconds. So the reigning GTC World Champion and the pole sitter until he got the penalty has a lot of work to do. No challenge from behind at the moment. Natsu still holds fastest lap actually at 1:36.3, but he's 4.2 seconds behind Sharky, and doesn't look to be closing that gap. Big gap to him between him and Tech Racing, but there's a little 3-way battle going on, and it's Tech and Blue Paladin and Nico. There is Nico. We'll have a look on board. Oh, what happened? What happened? Nico's facing in the wrong direction. Heads down the hill. It's before the chicane of death. Into this big hairpin. Oh, and he just gets incredibly brave on the loud pedal, facing in the wrong direction. There's a couple of cars coming through, and he has to get the car turned and back and facing in the correct direction. And that has cost him loads of places. He's now down in 11th behind Kaizan. So that's allowed Karama through, smashing Apex through, Kaizan through. Nico's got some work to do to get back up into that top 10. Zeno was incredibly quick last week. Absolutely dominated Sardegna last week. I think finished something like 10, 15 seconds clear of the pack. But running down in 12, it just goes to show, look. You know, and I say this a lot. When you've got drivers of this quality all racing together in the same lobby, the difference between the guy that finishes first and the guy that finishes 15th is just small margins. It's little things throughout the race. You know, you get caught up in a little battle here, or you get stuck behind a car there, or you clip a wall or something, and it all switches on its head. So genuinely, I think that at least 10 of these drivers in Lobby 1 out on this racetrack today are capable of finishing and winning a race here in terms of pace, without question. At least 10, if not all 15. Monkey Man Macho getting a little loose. The gap 6.5 seconds to Greasy, so he's opening that gap out. It's done 37.0. Greasy again ahead of Slippy, who has these two have just been at it the entire race. It's been greasy or slippy or greasy, and the respect as well between these two drivers, absolutely phenomenal racing. I know both these guys will be broadcasting this, and I tell you what, the footage from those two, do you know what I should have done? I should. Oh, such a shame. I should have pulled in their footage and showed it kind of side by side what it looks like from their perspectives. Doing this. In fact, I might see. I might try and find it and see if I can get a little vid going of from their perspectives and from our perspective as well. But it is phenomenal, the racing between these guys. Huge amounts of respect, but absolutely no quarter given between them. We said he had to make up 9 seconds. What was it? 19 and 9 to the 19 to the leaders, 9 to Tyler was greasy, but that's extreme. That's now at 7.6 and 15 to the leader. So Sharky is pulling away from Natu. Actually, he's not pulling away from Natu. Natu's closed the gap a little bit, but he's pulling Natu along up the road with him at a rate of knots. And he's in fourth, but he's closing that gap. And I tell you what, at the current pace, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Sharky there or thereabouts mixing it with the top 3 at the end of the race. Now, it's very difficult to look like at the moment past Monkey Man Macho. He's out in the lead, and he's got at the moment it's an unassailable lead, but we know how wrong things can go so quickly. We saw what happened with Karama. We saw what happened just now with who was it? I've forgotten. Nico. So we've seen how quickly things can change. We saw with Sharky that 1 minute he was 15th at the back of the grid, then he was up in 5th or 6th, and then again back in 14th. He's had to fight his way back. So it just goes to show that your race can be affected by so many different factors, and what looks on the face of it to be a relatively simple win for Monkey Man Macho at this stage, he's got to keep his head and keep his wits about him if he wants to take home the big prize today. But I think Sharky's going to have something to say about that. He wants to get involved in that top 3 and prove a point. His teammate, of course, is Natu, and he's getting pulled along with him. They've opened up a gap from Tech Racing in 6th. That's 4.6 of your glorious British seconds. He's blue, and he's a paladin, and he's in the United States, and he's in a nice, comfortable position. Comfortably mid-table, mid-pack, if you will. 5.3 ahead, so he knows he's got some work to do to catch the car ahead. But the gap behind is 6.4 seconds, so he hasn't got to worry too much about taking crazy defensive lines. He can kind of just race his race. Put those laps in, just one after the other, get that consistency going, and see if you can't eke out and just shut down that gap ahead to something a little bit more exciting, whereby you can see. I mean, you can see the car ahead, but not with any menace at this stage. Karama, the Frenchman, 1.1 seconds ahead of Smashing Apex. So there is a potential for Apex to get involved with a battle with Karama. Of course, Karama was part of that Greasy Slipstream battle. It was Greasy Slipstream and Karama in that battle early on in the race, and then he just got a little bit too far right, heading down the hill towards the big hairpin, and he got on the gas a little bit too hard. He didn't let off. Car drifted a little bit too wide, and round he went. A beautiful pirouette from Karama. Smashing Apex. I don't know why I said it like that. He is 1.7 behind Karama at the moment. 4 mashed spuds racing. There is another mashed spudder. I don't know why that's coming up. I should be on there. Should have notifications turned off, shouldn't I? So let me do that now. Do not disturb. There we go. Do not disturb me. So Kaizan running in 10th place is 2.7 and 2.2 either side. Zeno, so quick last week. He was like a rocket. He was like something out of a movie. You know that one guy who's just like, I don't know if anyone's seen the film Talladega Nights. It's a brilliantly funny film. The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Talladega Nights is called. So that's who it reminded me of. Early film Ricky Bobby. But this week, 11th place. 1.6 seconds to Nico. Nico's no slouch. But at the moment, he's down in 12th. Kawazuri's pitting again. Now, why is Kawazuri pitting again? I wonder now if Kawazuri is going for fresh tyres because he's 12.6 seconds behind Bugsy. I mean, he wasn't that far back before, but he's doing some math now. Here's the kicker. So if you finish first in Division 2, you're going to score more points than the guy who finishes. I think it's the top. I think the top 10 in each division score more than the first guy in the division below. But you essentially you want to win your divisions. If you're finishing in the bottom 4 or 5, you're better off in a lower division because you would have got more points. So, is he playing the game a little bit here? And we're just talking about match. Is Kawazuri playing the game a little bit here? And he knows that qualifying time is absolute key. Now, he doesn't want to be dropping down a division. He wants to be challenging in the top 10 of lobby number 1. So he's going to go out there and try. I think he's going to be pushing to try and get a hot lap. Now, he knows that Monkey Man Macho, the current race leader, has done a 1:36.2, which will put him there or thereabouts with the front row next week. The problem that Kawazuri's got is he's looking and thinking, well, I've done a 1:38.0. This is pretty hot in terms of lap times. I want to make sure that I am closer to the front of the grid for next week because the lobby you're in and your position on that grid is entirely decided by your fastest lap in this race. And I think that's going to be in his mind now that he's thinking, look, I'm going to have to swallow a point loss here because I'm not going to make it into the top 10. So I'm going to lose. I'll get some points, but it won't be the kind of points I was looking to get. So what I need to do is use this disappointment to give myself the best possible springboard in the next race. And that looks like to me why he has pit when he did, because it was an unnecessary pit stop. He could have made it to the end of the race. We're moving to the last quarter of this race, it's lap 27. There's your race leader, currently the fastest man on the racetrack with a 1:36.2, which he did a few laps ago. 8 seconds clear of Greasy Sam Scott. He's kind of held on now in second and has kicked on and pulled a little gap on Slipstream. So he's sandwiched between two black flag drivers. It's a nice juicy bit of HyPrix ham in the black flag sandwich. The two slices of dependable black flag bread. So Slippy there running in third. Thing is we've got 15 minutes left, and there is Sharky. Sharky's done a 1:36.6, his fastest lap. Last lap was a 36.9. Slippy doing low 37s. If Sharky drops down into the mid 36s and Slipstream doesn't, then Sharky may well be there or thereabouts with him at the end of the race. As it stands at the moment, I think the gap is just big enough for the time to run out before Sharky catches that top 3. But listen, anything can happen, and we could potentially see Sharky going from the back of the grid to the podium and crashing in the middle of that process, which just goes to demonstrate why he is the current GTC champion. Macho, macho man. I wanna be your macho man. I've actually got it on the soundboard, but there's a copyright to that, but there can't be a copyright to me singing it because I don't sound anything like it. There's Greasy. I haven't got a song for Greasy. I haven't got one for Slippy either. Well, there is a song called Born Slippy. I won't see if I can find it. Sharky in fourth. There's Natu. You only get an ooh with Natu. 2.2 seconds behind Sharky. He's actually closed. This is the thing. So Sharky's closing on Slipstream. Natu is closing on Sharky. And pulling away actually from the rest of the pack, these guys. So is there a potential scenario? Here's the question to the world. We've got 14 minutes left. We're on lap 28, so we're looking at 36 racing laps here. And are we in a position where, over the next 8 laps, we could potentially see Greasy and Slipstream, who have been second and third for the entire race, other than, you know, that little, very sideways Natu then. Yeah, I mean, those guys have been second and third. They've shared second and third and fourth when Karama was involved for the entire race. We could potentially see Sharky and Natu coming along in those Team Sharky cars and pissing on their strawberries, for want of a better expression. Peeing all over their strawberries, ruining their day. Which it's great for us, but wouldn't be so great for Greasy and Slippy. So we'll keep an eye on that. I personally don't think there's enough time. I think they've got the pace, and I think with more time they would probably close that gap, but I don't think there's enough time left in the race to catch and overtake for either Sharky or Natu, unless of course there is a mistake by one of those front three, Macho, Greasy or Slipstream. Further down the order, there is Tech Racing. He is very much comfortable now in 6th place, ahead of Blue Paladin, who's looking pretty comfortable there in 7th, to be honest, the US-based driver. Karama, early on, I thought he was going to be one of those challenging for a spot on the podium, but the Frenchman is now just knocking around in 8th. He's got Smashing Apex 2.6 seconds behind him, but not at the moment putting any big challenge on to him. He is 1 second ahead of his team leader, Mr. Tyler Kaizan himself. His name's not Tyler Kaizan, of course, but it sounds cool, so we're going to go with it. So he's 1.2 behind Smashing Apex at the moment, Kaizan. Is he going to be able to catch him? Oh, they're team orders! Who knows? I don't think there will be. Zeno, there he is, still outside that top 10. He desperately wants to get his nose into that top 10, or even further up as he can. Is he about to put a move on the Mash Spuds Racing team? There's 2 of them ahead of him. The first Spud he wants to mash, that's going to be Kaizan. They go side by side through that final corner. He gets a better run out, and through goes Zeno into the top 10 finally. But remember, Kaizan's got the slipstream now. He can make a move back into the chicane. Does he get it done? He doesn't. He has to stay in behind. So now's the opportunity for Zeno to kick on and try and get the other Mash Spuds dude up ahead. That Mash Spuds dude is Smashing Apex. You can see Smashing Apex there. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of him at the moment. Zeno, of course, has to be wary of the spud behind. There's a spud in front and a spud behind. You've got to pay mind to that. And you can see ahead of Smashing Apex is Karama. So there is a potential for Zeno to not only redeem himself outside and to get into the top 10. There's a potential 8th place on the cards for him here, because that up ahead, just going into the braking zone now, or going around the apex now of this big hairpin, that was Karama. So we'll see. Kaizan's still very much involved there as well, of course. Does this give Nico a little bit of impetus to try and move his way back through the order? Because he's 2.4 behind Kaizan at the moment. But if these guys are battling for any length of time, and that gap's come right down, Kaizan have a bit of a problem because Nico absolutely charged through there. I want to have a little look and see why he managed to make up so much time. So we look through here, and I'm trying to see it from another angle actually. Don't know, I mean it looked to me that he just got such a good run through there. Who knows? Who knows? I certainly don't. Sector 7's very own The Truth Serum. Sodium pentothal, there he is. 10.7 behind Nico. 22 seconds ahead of Budsy. The only Pro-Am driver in this lead group. Applause to you, my friend. Applause to you. Give that man a Pro Driver badge. And Kawazuri, who's having an absolutely torrid time today. 37.8 he's put in. He got held back at work and was a struggle to get back. And he's the thing is, if you don't get that opportunity to kind of sit and chill, and it does have an effect. So he's going to put on another set of tyres, and he's going again for fastest lap. So absolutely, Kawazuri has given up on this race is the wrong word. He's accepted that his position's not ideal, and rather than dwell on that and make mistakes trying to close the gap, he's thinking ahead. He's thinking, okay, this week's a dud, but what about next week? How do I put myself in the best position for next week? And he's doing that by smashing out hot laps and trying to get himself up that order. Currently though, with a 37.8, the hot lap at the moment is Monkey Man Macho with a 1:36.2, which is going to be hot enough for pole next week if it stays that way. He is still over 7 seconds clear. It's going to take a smashing of the walls, some carve favour on the racetrack before this guy is overtaken, I think. Greasy Sam Squanch, there he is. He's just got past. That's his teammate actually, Kawazuri, being lapped by him. Now, is he going to give Kawazuri? I wonder if he might hold back and give Kawazuri a little bit slipstream to help him with his lap time, but he has he's decided against that. He said no. Bye. See you later. See you later, Kawa. Love you. Bye. So Slippy comes through now as well. He's 3.7 behind Greasy. So Greasy's kind of kicked on, got up into second, and in the second half of this race has kind of kicked on that pace. In terms of so who are the sub 137ers? Well, Greasy's not. At least not according to that list anyway. I know he is. He has gone sub 37, 36, not 8. He's actually gone quicker than that. He's not on the list. So Monkey Man, of course, with the 1:36.2. Slippy's gone 1:36.9. Sharky 1:36.6. And a 1:36.9 in those last few laps. Natu we know has 36.6, 36.5. Tech Racing 36.6 for him. I tell you what, it's going to be tight for the front of the grid. Blue Paladin, I don't think he's gone sub 37 yet. Karama hasn't either. Zeno hasn't. In fact, Zeno's really been sub 38 this race. He is up into 9th now. Of course, he has caught Kaizan. So that's the two Mash Spud Racing drivers he's got past now. Next target is, of course, Karama. He's not going to be an easy target. So there's quite a few drivers sub 36. I'll tell you what, the difference. The front of the grid is going to be jam-packed with pace every single week. But we can see just how close the racing's been. But as we head into the final 5 minutes of this race, Monkey Man Macho led from the start. We haven't spent much time watching him purely because, he's been on his own, but also because the lag is awful. And it is what it is. There is number 2. So it's been black flag. It's been a black flag and HyPrix party out in front. And there is Greasy Sam Squad from HyPrix Sim Race City. The Canadian driver now 4 seconds clear of Slippy. 4 seconds black flag, of course, are recently appointed Black Flag Council member and livery designer. But I tell you what, who's that lurking? That is Sharky. Now, I said that I didn't think there was enough time in this race for him to get involved in that top 3. But I'll tell you something, he's proving me wrong, because the gap down to 1.2 seconds, he is after Slipstream like a whippet, absolutely charging him down like he doesn't want him in that top 3. And I tell you what, it'll be disappointing for Slippy, but great for you guys watching, because absolute charge from 15th is where he started on the grid. Fought his way through, had a little dice with death, and dropped down the order again, and has done exactly the same thing through very, very consistent low 137s. I mean, 28, 29, 30, those laps there. 37.020, a 37.007, and a 37.075. You can't get, that's like treble 20, treble 20, treble 20 in a darts match, or a 147 in snooker, getting that kind of accuracy. It's unheard of, man. But these guys are just so good at it, so good at it. Right, so this is the big battle though now, because far from Slippy, I mean, Slippy saw Greasy moving off into distance. Now, I've raced with Slippy on many, many occasions, I can tell you now. Sharky's going to have to do it the hard way. I can tell you that for nothing. Slippy is no pushover when it comes to finding your way through. He will not leave the door open. You will have to get your sledgehammer out and make a massive hole in it, because he's not going to do it on purpose, although he might cock something up. But at the moment, Sharky absolutely revving the nuts out of that BMW and having a little dive up the inside. There was a little touch there from Sharky. Now, I think that needs to be looked at. I don't know. Look, I'm not going to call it at that stage. It looks to me like there was a little touch, but I think that's something that needs to be looked at again. But he is up into 3rd position and looking very, very racy with it. So there we go. I wasn't sure he was going to catch him. It turns out there was plenty of time to catch him. And there's still time to potentially for him to catch Greasy Sam Squatch as well. So Greasy's starting to look at his mirrors and think, bloody hell, where's Sharky? Because this kid is coming, and he's coming fast. Why are you coming fast? Because I'm Sharky. That's what he said. He actually said it. It's true. Monkey Man Macho, leader of this race, 8 seconds clear. Some say that he was born because he had me in mind, she gave birth to him in, the big giant tyres that you roll down the hill. She was in one of those when she gave birth to him, and he perpetually smells like burnt rubber. We just know him as the Monkey Macho Man. He's 7.7 seconds clear. I'm going to say this categorically, Sharky can't catch him. Unless he crashes, Sharky can't catch him. There's definitely not enough time for that. Can he catch Greasy though? 2.9 seconds. I wouldn't count it out just yet. Greasy's been lappy. He's dropped those lap times down a little bit into the low 38s. If I know Greasy, and I like to think I've seen him race enough now to know that he will have something left in the locker just in case. He's dropping down to those times because he had the little gap behind. But believe you me, if that 2.8 seconds suddenly becomes 0.8 of a second, don't be surprised if he's got something in his locker. This will be the last lap, of course, for these guys. So Sharky will be on that last lap. Slippy, 1.3 seconds behind Sharky. Question, of course, is going to be fuel. These guys will last out. Surely they will. Natu. He's got, who's that just ahead of him? Oh, that'll be Kawazuri, who's being lapped. That's the bad thing about taking the lanes at the top of the cars. That's Natu running in 5th. Who's not going to make lap 36? That's the question. I think these guys are probably not going to make it. Blue Paladin should just creep over the line. Does he creep over the line? No, he doesn't. He actually slows up to finish in 7th. So 7th for Blue Paladin, smashing Apex for Mashed Potatoes, or the Mashed Spuds Racing. He'll come round. He's got Nico for company. They're going to go to the line. Is Nico going to get a run at him and smash him? He's got enough fuel. Yes, he has. He gets 8th, 9th is Nico. The Truth will round out that top 10. He got past Kaizan as well. So Kaizan losing a few places there towards the end. Across the line he comes. There is Kaizan for Mash Spuds in 11th. 12th is Kurama. Winner last time out, Zeno in 13th. Bugsy and Kawazuri on their final laps as well, but I think they've been laps, so we don't want to miss. Macho Man, I want to be your macho man. He's going to win this race by 7.7 seconds, and did very much what Zeno did last week, from pole, absolutely dominant. And with that 136.2, unless it gets beaten in the next couple of corners, will be on pole next week. Greasy Sam Scotch comes home in 2nd. Sharky from the back of the grid takes 3rd. 4th was Slipstream. So we didn't get a black flag, 2 black flag in the top 3, but there we go. Natu comes home in 5th position, and Tech Racing home in 6th. That is your final order, but there is your winner. We don't do driver of the day, but if we did, you'd be very... He'd be very hard done by if you didn't give it to Sharky, really. 15th to 3rd is pretty darn good. Shall we have a look at the full classified results? So, 6 drivers, sub 137, separated by 6/10 of a second. So that's going to be your front 6 next week. Unless, of course, somebody in lobby 2 or 3 or 4 has gone quicker than that. Nothing against those guys. Never going to happen. Monkey Man Macho is your winner today from Greasy Sam Scotch of HyPrix Sim Race City. Black Flag, HyPrix, Sharky, Black Flag, Sharky is your top 5. And yeah, Tech Racing in 6th. Blue Paladin 7th. Smashing Apex in 8th for Mash Spuds. Then we've got the Australian Nico in 9th. The Truth for Sector 7 in 10th. Kaizan also Mash Spuds in 11th. Kurama in 12th after that spin early on when he was battling in the top 3. Zeno, winner last time out, but lap down this time, not quite the pace here at Dragon Trail. In 13th, Bugsy, the only pro-am driver out there in this lineup, doing a fantastic job actually in 14th. And Kawazuri pushing for that fastest lap. Pit a few times to try and get it, but 137.5 was the best he could do. But there we go. It's done. We're finished. Shall we go find some drivers to speak to? Hold the line caller and I'll see what I can do. just waiting for some drivers to come talk to me. Doesn't look like they're interested in coming to talk to me today. So if that's the case, we will we'll end it there then. Bye bye. There we have it. No interviews today. I think drivers must be tired. What a finish that was though. That was absolutely awesome finish to that race. And credit to Sharky. Absolutely demonstrated some phenomenal pace today. So nothing more to say really than thank you very, very much for joining me. It's been a pretty darn good race. If you want to hear more from me, you can do so in about 6 hours' time when I do a stint for the N24. 2 hours of that, and then I'll be back to do the penultimate stint in the, later in the morning, and then we've got something special tomorrow evening, F1 shaped. More will be announced later. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much for joining me. I've been Urban Pirate from Black Flag Racing TV. This has been the GT Champions BMW Cup, sponsored by HyPrix Sim Race City, and we weren't at Sardegna because I didn't change the correct thingy. We were actually at Dragon Trail. Congratulations to your winner, Monkey Man Macho, and to Greasy Sam Squanch, and to Sharky, who rounds out that top three. We'll be back next week for more of this.